Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 29 of the Whitey and Wills Sports Show. Today is Sunday, April 3rd. And last week we had three local high school baseball coaches and some very accomplished ones at that. And so we're going to keep that theme going. We're going to move it up to the college level, but we have got longtime Kaskaskia College baseball coach Mitch Koester on the show today. Mitch, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
This is Mike as usual. Mike's got the Rolodex that's just bursting with names. It's never me. If we get a good guest on the show, you can bet that Mike Wilson was the guy who made it happen. But Mitch, you've been the baseball coach at Kaskaskia for a spell now, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. It's been 17 years now. This is year 17 down there, and 14 as the head coach. So it's been a while, and things have changed over the years. And the thing about it is we're a 2-year junior college, and guys are, as soon as we get them the way we want them, they're all graduating and moving on to the 4-year school and stuff like that. So it's a never-ending recruiting battle too. So.
And of course, if you're familiar with baseball in the Effingham County area, you know who Mitch is. He played at Teutopolis and had an accomplished career there, good enough to go play some Division I ball at Purdue. It's not every day that someone from the area is able to go play at a school that size. So people, let's see, what year did you graduate from high school?
I graduated in 2000.
Okay, so a couple years older than me, so definitely a name that I was familiar with playing high school baseball in Yoga. We knew who you were. It's when somebody is as good as that, it gets around pretty quickly. But
hey, Whitey,
yeah,
Mitch may have hit you in high school.
Well, I don't know if here's my thing, because I was.
You'd have been that youngster coming up in the late innings and.
I was not quite as good. So if we were playing T-Town, I was definitely not starting my sophomore year and or my freshman year. And if I got in, it was because we were getting destroyed probably. But I don't remember. It's so long ago, and I'm sure it didn't go well if it did happen. So who knows?
Now, Mitchell also was an accomplished basketball player. He's the boys' all-time leading scorer at Teutopolis, which I know a lot of people, when I helped coach, I brought that up to some people and they're like, who? So it's kind of funny how things like that, those legacy things sometimes kind of get forgotten. And then Mitch, you went with a teammate to Purdue, correct?
Yeah, Mitch Prummer was graduated same year as I did at T-Town, and Mitch went to Wren Lake for a year. Okay. And then transferred to Purdue for his final 3 years. He ended up redshirting a year, was there another year. So yeah, it was nice to have somebody, there that you knew and grew up with and ran around with in high school. So
and you played second base at Purdue, is that correct?
Played shortstop.
Okay. Well, I know it's one or the other. So
yeah. Right. Those athletic guys in the middle of the field.
How many times did Indiana beat you in college? Most of the time.
Oh man, I knew you were going to bring up some Hoosiers. I was gonna be decked out in all Purdue gear.
See, I even got my cup for you, Mitch, today. I knew you'd appreciate it.
I know. I was going to have my Purdue sweatshirt on, my Purdue hat on, and time just got away from me this evening, and you're lucky. So.
Well, we're lucky you're even talking to us.
Well, yeah. I had to twist some arms to do that, but I do have a question. When you were, I believe, in high school, was it senior Babe Ruth? You guys went to the Nationals?
We were 16 years old, so it would have been between that sophomore junior year, somewhere around in there. That was a 16U Babe Ruth tournament. And
you guys ended up DC? Were you out somewhere on the East Coast, weren't you?
Yeah, we were out in the Baltimore area, and ended up finished third in that tournament. So
I know like you and Mitch Prummer
Yeah.
were big pitchers there. Who were some of your people with that team?
Mitch Prummer was on the team. Trent Craik, a guy from Effingham, Casey Schaefer, Josh Douthit was on the team. Luke Herzl was our catcher. So a lot of guys from our area and this area that combined to make that team. And, we were together. We started when we were 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, the same group. And, we're able to play a lot of baseball and have a lot of fun over the summer. So,
and tremendous success, obviously, getting to that level. And I know Jim Jarrett was behind a lot of that formation back then, but that all kind of splintered up, and everybody kind of, I think you went more American Legion maybe after that. People kind of stayed more with their home kids, and now it's kind of gone back to more travel. And I know it depends, but it's still, the key is kids getting a chance to play. It just always seems nice when you have an area our size, when you could hand pick 15, 16 kids and play together and really see how good you can be.
Yeah. I mean, once that 16-year-old team did that, then the next 2 summers it was American Legion baseball for those 2 summers, and it was a lot of the same group, but it was more of the guys we had a few guys from Louisville on those Babe Ruth teams, and once we got to Legion Ball, it kind of went back to the Effingham County guys at that time. So
at any time while you were playing at Purdue, did you start thinking, do I have a chance to play beyond?
I think after my junior year, I had a really good junior year up there, defensively and offensively, and once I thought maybe a chance after that year, but I really, it was going to have to be something to, I really wanted to finish my degree up there and get my education, and it was going to have to be really good after my junior year in order for me to leave, and it didn't happen, and I went back my senior year and had another good year, and I had some, I talked with my head coach, Coach Schreiber, after the season was over, and he's like, you know what, if the draft doesn't work out, do you want to go play some indie league ball and try to keep playing afterwards? And I was like, and I had an opportunity to go down and start coaching right away. I had that locked up as soon as I graduated, and I wanted to get into coaching, start my career, and I knew that was something I wanted to do from the beginning, and had an opportunity right away, and took that, went down there to Kaskaskia and was there for 3 years as an assistant, and then got the head job and been there ever since. So it's been 14 years now as a head coach, and like I said earlier, it's a great place to be, and we've got a good thing going down there.
Well, and it's obvious you made probably a very wise decision, because you always hear, after the senior people that get drafted don't have much leverage, and they're usually later in the rounds and less money today thrown at them. I don't know how it was, 20 years ago, but it just seems like, like you said, that junior year, that sophomore year, those are the quote prime years to be coming out if you get drafted.
They are those guys. They have the leverage of, if I get that amount of money, I'm going to go. If I don't, I can go back to school and continue playing that way. So, now with the draft that's happened the last couple of years, and they're cutting the rounds down, and there's not as many opportunities. I think that's why you see the college game, at least at the Division I level, and even at our level too, at the junior college level, we have so many more good players throughout our conference and our division, and the NCAA level as well. The Power 5 conferences are so much better now, because a lot of those guys are not getting drafted because they cut the rounds down, and those guys just go back to school, and that's what you're seeing. So many more guys are 95 to 98, and even guys are bumping 101, 102 on I was watching Tennessee play the other night. Yeah. Tennessee had a guy throwing 101, 102, and it's unreal what's going on right now.
I may have touched that at the county fair once when you threw that. Or I read it wrong and it was just 11 or 12. I don't know.
In your playing career, did you ever see anything like that? I mean,
I never did. I mean, we had we had a supplemental round pick at Purdue, who was drafted by the Cubs, and he was 93 to 95, maybe touched to 96, but that's almost as back then. That was a first round guy, and that was the best. I mean, we had a lot of guys that were 88 to 92 that had 3 pitches that could throw for strikes, and that's that was the top of the line guys back then. And now you see it 95 to 97, every weekend, and guys can really pitch it.
Anybody you faced while playing at Purdue that's ended up in the bigs? Any name dropping?
Yeah, I mean, Rich Hill, big lefty that pitched for the Cubs for a while. I mean, he's bounced all over the big leagues. He pitched at Michigan. Khalil Green was a shortstop for the Cardinals for a while. He was a shortstop at Clemson when he played down there. There was a lot of good players. I mean, we traveled all over the place, down to Texas, out west, down southeast. I mean, playing at Florida, playing at Clemson. Now their stadiums are huge. I mean, and they were big back then too, but now you look at some of these stadiums on TV and they're bigger than minor league parks, and they're super nice, and the fan experience is so much better now.
We talk about, you mentioned what kind of velocity gets you drafted now as opposed to even 20 years ago. Obviously professional players, the numbers just keep going up. Does you see the same thing happening at the college level too, that the players just keep getting more and more athletic, keep throwing harder and harder and all that stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I look at, the resources they have now out there, the nutrition programs, the training programs, and just the facilities. The facilities, I think about, back when I was going through Purdue, and the facilities we had, which, it's a Power 5 school playing in the Big Ten. And at that time we were one of the, top teams, top, conferences in the country. And now I go back, and I went to Purdue last year and looked at some of their facilities, and it's just unbelievable about the amount of resources, the amount of nutrition plans, and just everything those guys have at their fingertips to just get better and better each year. You look at a guy that goes to a Division I school as a freshman, maybe doesn't play and wants to transfer, and he comes back to a junior college team. Those guys are just physically more fit than a guy that maybe was at a junior college for an entire year, because he's on those nutrition programs, he's on those weight programs. It's just so much better now than it was 20-25 years ago.
So back in your day, it was like Domino's coupons, the nutrition program at Purdue? Or?
Yeah. They go walk across the street to Subway and get a sandwich. Now they've got all that stuff right there where they can, just walk in their locker room and it's all right there.
How's your season going so far?
Not bad. We're 13-12 overall right now, so we've got 25 games in, and we're sitting kind of in the middle of the pack of our conference. We've got 4 or 5 more weekends left, a couple midweek games. So we've got about 20 games left, and then we'll start postseason the second weekend in May. So
who's sitting at the top right now in your conference?
We've got Wabash Valley and John A. Logan are the top 2 teams. They're tied for the lead right now. And then there's, I would say, anywhere from 3 to 9. It's all within a game or two. So we play 3-game series on the weekends, and in any weekend you can move from anywhere from 3rd to 9th, depending on how you do. So
just depends on matchups.
It does. And we've got a situation where we have to play a couple midweek, like Tuesday non-conference games or Tuesday conference games. And, I don't like playing those games, because you're not throwing your best guys, and the other team isn't either. But, you always want to run your best guys out there against other conference teams whenever you can. And we just don't have enough weekends throughout the spring to get all 10 conference series in. So we've got to play a couple midweek conference series.
So you pretty well throw your kids, your 3 main pitchers, either Saturday or Sunday once a week?
Yeah, the way it's set up is we play a 9-inning game on Thursday or Friday, and then a doubleheader on Saturday. So those will be our top 3 guys typically from week to week. And then Tuesdays are usually non-conference games, or like I said, those conference midweek series.
I think if somebody didn't really pay much attention, they would not understand that, junior college baseball, especially in this area, the teams that you play in your conference. I mean, there's an awful lot of talent that comes out of this area and goes and plays there. Like, I think if somebody was not paying very close attention, they would think that maybe it's more like, you hear about kids going to these big schools for basketball and football, and they think that baseball might be the same way, but it really, you get a lot of really high caliber athletes to come play for your program and for the ones that you see on a regular basis.
Right. And that's what, is a recruiting pitch for us is, you're coming into our conference, and our conference every weekend, you're going to have, a pro scout there, or, a 4-year school that's going to be at your Thursday game, because Thursday's usually the day that everybody's going to throw their best arm. Whether it be whoever you're throwing in. And at the NCAA level, they don't play on Thursday. So that's a day that they get out and recruit a lot. And it also gives those pro scouts a chance to get out on a Thursday and see a junior college guy, because there are no NCAA games. So Thursdays are big days, where you'll see a lot of scouts in the stands. Saturdays, not so much, because a lot of those 4-year schools are playing on Saturdays. But if you look, like in the last 5 years, even 10 years out of our conference, we've had, LSU commits, South Carolina commits, Arizona commits, Ole Miss commits, top 5 round picks, top 10 round picks. I mean, and guys develop. I mean, that's the thing. They get in, they get a chance to play right away, where they may go to a 4-year school and sit for a year. But at our level, you're coming in and playing right away, getting 50 at bats in the fall, getting 150 to 200 bats in the spring. Where at the NCAA level, at the 4-year level, you may only get, 50 at bats throughout your entire freshman year. And that's one thing that helps us out a lot with developing guys.
Is that a big thing that you fight against when you're trying to recruit a kid? Is that maybe they've been talked to by a 4-year school, a bigger school, and it sounds really nice to them, but you say, well, this is what I can offer you. I can give you that chance. I can give you that chance to impact our program from day one.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. A pitcher, for instance, may go somewhere as a freshman and may get 10 to 20 innings as a freshman, where they can come pitch for us or somebody at the junior college level and get 60 to 80 innings as a freshman in the springtime, and really help, grow and mature, and in 2 years, be ready to step into that same school and pitch another 60 or 70 innings at the NCAA Division I level. But again, they're looking at it as, a chance to get into a 4-year school where they can grow and mature and get on their weight programs and all that stuff too. So it works both ways. I mean, they're in that program then, and they don't have to worry about the recruiting process again in 2 years, like they would at the junior college level. But again, you want to be on the field competing right away and getting those 60 to 80 innings in the spring, or maybe only getting 10 to 20. That's the thing you gotta juggle.
Just depends on the kid, right? I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Now, Mitch, you guys, your region, is it kind of like a Salem, Breeze, that kind of, I know you recruit wherever you want, but is that kind of your pocket?
Yeah, our district, our Kaskaskia district is basically from Vandalia, Greenville to Salem to like Trenton, Westland, down to Nashville and Oakville over in that area. So, it's a pretty big district. We've got 17 high schools in our district, and it's all pretty good baseball. I mean, it's each and every year we can go in and into our district and target some guys that we think are going to be able to come in and compete in our conference every year and give us a chance to win. Now, we do also get out and recruit regionally and nationally too. But we try to stick, closer to our district and want to target and make sure we keep those guys closer to home.
Your recruiting schedule, heaviest in the spring, summer, high school games, showcases. What's the best for you?
We try to go in our district. We try to recruit a lot more in the springtime. And then like for instance, like the Effingham area, the Altamont area, all those teams will play fall ball. So we get a chance to get and see a lot of those kids in the fall season. Now we may follow up with them in the springtime as well, but we don't get to see those kids down where we're from until the springtime, and it's a little bit closer. All those kids play football in the fall and don't play very much baseball. So we try to stick around that area in the springtime and get up into this area, up in the Effingham area a little bit more in the fall time.
Do you find you've got a pretty good niche in this area? I mean, most coaches know who you are. Most people in baseball know who you are. I mean, you're kind of going head to head, I guess, against a Lakeland for that, but it just seems like over the past few years, you guys have kind of gotten more kids out of this area than any school. Kind of you and Logan, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this area has always been good for baseball. I mean, we all know that. And, you look at the runs a lot of these teams in this area have had the last few years in postseason play. And, Olney has been up in this area quite a bit too. Lakeland's obviously in the area. Logan's been getting up here a little bit more too. So they've seen it. I mean, shoot, for the past 17 years, I've been up here and recruiting this area, and they're not no dummies down there at Logan. I mean, they figured it out. We're getting good players from up here, and they're going to find out what's going on, and they have. And Olney obviously has done that for a long time. Dennis Conley's been there for over 40 years. So, and then Lakeland's right here, and we're in their backyard as well. So, I mean, there's good baseball around here. I mean, not only junior college coaches come around here, there's also a bunch of four-year schools that understand this area is good for baseball. So, recruiting's ever changing. I mean, you got to get out and you got to watch kids play, and you got to be able to communicate with them and try to get them on campus and show them around. And that's the thing at our place is we've got some really nice facilities. We've got a nice indoor facility that's just for baseball and softball for the most part on campus. And our fitness center is top notch as well. So we've got a lot of things to offer.
You talked about recruiting high school kids at their school teams. Do you find is there still a lot of Legion ball being played? A lot of summer stuff that's good for recruiting, good to see, kind of the top shelf kids, or I don't know. I haven't paid as much attention. Is there as much Legion ball going on these days?
It doesn't seem like it. There's a lot more travel teams than there ever has been before. I mean, travel ball back when I was playing wasn't around. I mean, it was Legion baseball, pretty much all summer when I was playing, and that's kind of it's not gone, but there's less and less teams. Aviston actually down in the Clinton County area is hosting those senior Legion state tournament this summer. So they're making some big renovations to their complex over in Aviston, and that'll give us a chance. It's nice when they have that down in the area, and I think they had it maybe over at Highland a few years ago, and that was good for us to be able to get over and watch. But having it close in Aviston, gives us an opportunity to see some teams from around the state come in and watch some Legion baseball that may not get as much exposure as some of these other travel teams.
So when you're recruiting a kid, Mitchell, what are you looking at? I read stuff college coaches, they talk about, they watch the kid 70% of the time and they watch his parents 30% of the time. When you're recruiting a baseball kid, what are you looking at?
We try to go out, and it's tough at our level because our recruiting budgets aren't even close to what some of these 4-year schools are. So, a lot, it's tough. I mean, we've got to take some recommendations. We've got to do a lot of stuff over the phone with coaches and communicating with them. But, when we're going, we're watching how a kid warms up. We're watching how he takes infield, outfield. I like to sit, kind of down the line and just, watch the dugout a little bit and watch how he's interacting. And, obviously he's got to be able to compete on the field and be able to make plays and be able to pitch it and be able to swing it. But, is he a good teammate? Is he a guy that other guys like to be around? That type of thing. And, are you right every time? No, I don't think anybody's right every time in the recruiting world, but you try to do your homework and try to figure out all that. And then you got to get them on campus and try to make them all, be a team and, being able to communicate with guys that they may not know. I mean, our guys live with 3 other guys in the apartments. So, are you going to be a good roommate? Are you a guy that's a slob in the dorms, not picking up stuff? And, that just makes for a bad experience for everybody.
And, but you're right. You're looking at so many things, and these kids, it's their first time away from home. Some of them aren't going to be able to handle it. I mean, some of those kids, it's just, even though they're with buddies and they're playing baseball, they still struggle with that aspect. So, there's a lot of plates you've got in the air once you get kids on campus.
There is. And, we have guys that on the field and in the weight room, they're great. But there's, we're also trying to educate them as well, in the classroom. And then, you got to take care of business that way. Some guys are better than others at, like you said, you're away from home for the first time, and, you don't have those reminders from mom or dad about, you got this done, you got this done, you got that done. And all of a sudden stuff starts stacking up on you, and, you find yourself in a hole that you can't get out of academically. And that's never good. So, we've got a pretty good policy and a pretty good checks down at KC and making sure guys are taking care of business academically and getting into our academic center and getting with tutors if we need to.
So, you've been there at KC, since you entered the I guess the adult world or whatever you want to call it. When
Don't
you
throw that word adult around loosely.
Yeah, I guess you know what I meant. Did you, when you started there, did you see yourself still being there now? Is that was that ever part of the plan, or is that just sort of how it has ended up for you?
It's kind of how it ended up for me. I really got into it not knowing, if this was going to be long term. I knew the head coach, when I started down there, and he ended up staying three years as the head coach when I was there. I mean, he spent a total of 6 or 7 years down there, but then got out of baseball and I was fortunate enough to be an assistant at the time and was offered the job. I was 26 years old when I took over as a head coach. And, 14 years later, we've gone to a national championship tournament, out in Colorado, first time in school history. We've won 3 regional titles, a GRAC champion, a conference championship. So, we've taken the school somewhere where it's never gone before, and that's something I can be proud of. And I think a lot of our alumni are proud of, where KC is at right now, on the baseball field. And, I don't see myself, going anywhere else. I mean, we've got a really good thing going on down there. We've got great facilities. We've got great administration that really supports athletics, and it's just a good place to be.
Right. You got anything else, Mike?
Yeah, I got another question for you, Mitchell. You were a 26-year-old head coach. First trip south. How nervous were you?
A little nervous. You know
Not
what?
not about the baseball side of things. You're now the den mother of kids that were you 7 years ago.
Yeah, I know, right? And luckily, I had two really good assistants. The one guy that Kurt Freeze, I don't know if you remember that name from the Stu Straws area. Kurt was my pitching coach, and Kurt was down there with us when I was an assistant there too. So him and I were able to be able to do a lot of that stuff together, but it did all fall on me right then, and I was 26 years old, out of college 3 years, and just had to sliding over those 18 inches. It's different, and we were able and fortunate enough that we had a lot of sophomores that year that were really, really good. And we won the conference that year as in 09 in my first year. And, we had, obviously some really, really good players and guys that it was good to be around. It was a good first year. We had guys that really, really wanted to compete day in and day out, and it showed.
So you were able to get by of that sleeping in the hotel with one ear open and one eye open. Every noise you're thinking, oh, is this my kids?
Yeah, 14 years later, it still hasn't changed. It's still one eye open, and you got 18, 19 years old, 18, 19-year-old boys in the hotel room, and phone goes off, whatever. I mean, now I've got a couple assistants that do room checks and bed checks and stuff like that. But back then it was, I was taking care of that stuff. And now, I mean, shoot, if I'm up past 9 o'clock, it's something's going on. I don't know.
Well, you're getting older. You are getting older. And, I do have to give Mitch an attaboy. He's also has a prestigious honor. He's on the Christmas tournament committee. He's part of our top-notch seating committee that has a very hard job every year, and he's a very good, very big part of it and does a good job. So I got to give him an attaboy.
Yeah, I don't know how you talked me into that. I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, but my wife still is like, "Are you sure? Like you're going to do that again this year?" I'm like, "Yeah, I enjoy it. I like being around."
Fun. And you're on the committee forever because Charlie's in charge of music, so he can't lose that job.
Yeah, he this year, this was his first year, and he's got to learn a few things about when to get in there and get that music turned off.
Hey, I give him an A-.
Or he's got to get that microphone out of Zeruzin's hand, one or the other.
Well, that's I don't think there's any of us who can do that.
Well, we are butting up against the half hour that we promised Mitch, Mike. So I don't know if he's got anything else he needs to get off his chest. This is time to do it. But otherwise, we'll probably give him a chance to make his graceful exit and not listen to us talk about whatever other things are running through our.
Oh, Mitch, I did have Purdue in my Final Four, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, so did I.
Gosh.
Hey, you know who's winning the Javi Korst pool?
You do one for basketball? I never get them.
Well, Andy, my brother, Megan's brother, Andy, put one together for the family, and Charlie has won it already. Like it's over, and I don't know.
Hit your brother Cole up for a loan because I think he's doing pretty good in the point spread pool.
Yeah. Oh, he is.
Yes, he had at least 2 teams in the Final Four, so I'd hit him up for a little. Tell him he's got to buy dinner.
I bet he's doing all right then. Okay.
I don't know how he did. I didn't look that close. And there was a lot more Niebergies than usual, so I'm not sure what this year it was.
I'll tell you what. Once I bowed out, I quit paying attention. It hurt too much. I was sure that I was going to make a little run there, and then it was over in one day.
Yep. It is a fun pool, though.
Yeah.
All right, Mitchell.
You guys, thanks for having me, and appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Hey, thanks for being on. I appreciate it. And about 3 weeks or a month, we have our final hurrah. So prepare mentally.
Yeah, it's on the calendar.
Attaboy.
All right. thanks again to Mitch Koester for joining us. We'll give him a chance to bail out on this Zoom call here. But Mitch, again, the baseball coach at Kaskaskia College, a Teutopolis product. I didn't know the bit, Mike, about him being the all-time leading scorer.
And I didn't gig him because he's the boys' all-time leading scorer.
Okay.
Doris Carey has more. I was saying, Mitch, you're the second leading scorer in school history because Doris has more points than you. But no, we were down when I was helping coach years ago, playing in the Nashville tournament, and Michael Drace and I were sitting at the scores table after a game, waiting on everybody else to come out. And Mitch was down there because they used to live down near Breeze. I forget exactly where they were because Megan used to work at McKendree before they moved back home. And I said, Michael, do you know who this is? No. I said, this is Mitch Koester. Do you know what honor he has? I said, he's the all-time leading scorer in Teutopolis boys basketball. And he kind of looked at Mitch. Mitch is 5'9", 5'10". And Michael just kind of looked at him. I go, yeah, he could play.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just some of those things get lost and it's unfortunate. So I always like to bring it up. And no, Mitch has done a good job down at Kaskaskia. He's had some local kids. He's had I know some kids make it to the bigs. It's got to be hard. Does he get every kid from T-Town that goes on and plays? No. And it's just, you got to weigh all that. And it's, but like I said, I think he's done a very good job down there. And he's a better person than he is a baseball coach. So, and I shouldn't say that publicly, but he is.
And really, again, like I just want to reiterate the point that I made while we were talking to him about how if you have to realize how good the baseball is at the schools like KC and like John A. Logan. Like, I think you think about people think junior college and they think, well, why would I want to do that? I want to go to the school that people have heard of. I want to go to the schools that you see on TV. And that's nice. And it does work out. It's worked out for people from our area. But
not very often.
I think the point stands that your chances of going to one of those schools and being a difference maker from day one are not great. And you can go to a Kaskaskia, and if they recruited you, they're going to play you.
I think you can count those kids that have gone on to Division I schools and were impactful, probably on one hand. You really can.
I mean,
there's been some kids that went and had decent careers. But like Mitch said, they started off only getting so much work in, and I know it's a great level. A lot of kids have gone on, and then I saw where one of the kids, either the Hardick kid or the Hemming kid, one's at John A. and one's at Kaskaskia, and I should have asked Mitch. I saw where they signed to go on to Ohio University, not Ohio State, but Ohio University. Cody Jansen, Teutopolis kid, is at St. Louis U, putting up numbers as their catcher. He played at John A.
Yeah. It's good baseball, and
yes.
And again, like Mitch said, you get scouted there. You get scouted by both levels. You get scouted by the big colleges, and you get scouted by the pro scouts. You get you can get a lot of attention because they know what's up. It's a very good path to getting drafted. And again, you get your Chad Green who goes to Louisville and has a good career there and ends up in the pros and playing for the Yankees, and that's great. But that is an exception to the rule. It doesn't work out that easy for everybody. So it's
Chad Green, Brian Schaus. I'm thinking of another kid who's gone to a big school straight out of high school and moved on to the next level.
And again, it just depends on the kid and the situation they're going into.
Right. But you've got other kids who go that JC route, Danny Winkler.
Danny started out
and Derek Thompson. You got a lot of kids that will go the smaller route and then play at the next level.
Yeah, Danny Winkler's a great example. Goes to
Yeah.
Parkland.
Was in Parkland 2 years and
He
learned how to pitch.
added some velocity. Added some. I think some got a little less rough around the edges. And next thing you know, he's down at UCF, and then after that, he's being drafted and still playing professional
He's
baseball.
still with the Rangers as of yesterday. I know there was some roster moves being done today. He's still a non-roster invitee.
Yeah.
And another area kid, Spencer Patton, is on the 40-man roster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Spencer's
now Danny's numbers actually look better than Spencer's did right now.
Yeah, but you don't want to read too much into it.
Exactly. You don't know.
Some guys get thrown against, you'll bat against one team pretty much the opening day lineup, and then sometimes you're going against a bunch of guys.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Wearing numbers in the 70s.
One thing, Whitey, I think that will help even enhance junior high baseball, and I've been reading it a lot because, especially with basketball and the transfer portal, reading some national writers and high school kids back in the day, I'll wait to make my decision. And colleges are saying, hey, Sparky, sorry, we don't have that offer anymore. We just signed Shaquille O'Neal's son in a transfer portal from LSU, click. And I think baseball is the same way, all sports. I mean, I saw swimmers leaving Michigan, a really good swimmer in the transfer portal. But I think you're going to see more baseball kids. Kids are now staying longer, okay, because the draft, it goes back, like Mitch said, the compression of the draft, not as many rounds. Kids are staying longer. I don't think there's as many spots opening up every year. So I think that will benefit the junior college level even more.
And also going to junior college, it helps you keep your options open, unless rules have changed. But you go to a 4-year school, and
third year before you can get drafted.
Exactly. You go to a junior college, you can enter the draft. You can
second year, isn't it?
And you can go.
I guess you can enter the first year.
Yeah, you can.
You're
go
eligible.
back. You can go into the draft every year. So
right. So you've got more options. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, it gives you a chance to see where you stand. I mean, even if you're a kid who gets and I know it doesn't happen as much now because they have shrunk down the Major League Baseball draft. But you used to see a guy, out of high school, he'd get drafted in like the 30th round and have college options to choose from. And so he'd go to college, and maybe he could have gone to the 4-year school. Maybe he could have gone to the 2-year school. But the fact of the matter is, if you go to that junior college, you can again enter the draft after your next year, see where you have if you've improved your chances, and then maybe bet on yourself to do it again the next year.
Get drafted in that 38th round and say, hey, I'm going to go back, and then all of a sudden you're in the 15th round.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
means more money.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears locally. Even though it didn't seem like the weather was cooperating, we got a lot of games in this week.
Yeah, I did notice that. Caught me off guard a little bit, to be honest with you. But
me too. I think coaches are chomping at the bit so much. They're playing when they can.
Yeah,
they're finding every reason. I saw Justin Fleener tweeted, "Hey, we got canceled today. We're willing to play and willing to travel." And this was like at 9 o'clock on a Thursday or Friday. And I thought, wow, they're looking for any place to play. So
yeah, you get those games in when you can. We saw some. We were talking about it before we started recording. We saw some pretty good pitching performances from some area schools. Remind me. Got a no-hitter out of somebody on the softball side. Is that correct?
Which Kibler pitches? And I'm ignorant for asking that question.
This is why we.
This is why you're the producer and supposed to do all the prep work and send me notes. I keep looking for them. But St. Anthony threw a no-hitter. St. Anthony also went up to Rantoul and played in a little tournament there at their complex Saturday and won it. And they beat. 3 and 4A schools there as well.
Sydney Kibler, no hitter against Flora.
There you go.
St. Anthony softball team. I read that
Her
earlier.
sister Maddie hit a homer at the tournament too. So
Yeah.
I just.
So St. Anthony's fixed for pitching when they've got they've got at least a couple good ones.
Well, I mean, you got Faraday now, Kibler, the Warnson girl. At least there's 3. I saw where Teutopolis went over and won a couple games in a round robin or tournament, whatever, over at Vandalia. Won a couple games there. They've had a couple good wins, and I saw Effingham beat Cumberland here Friday, maybe Thursday or Friday, and Cumberland's a predominantly strong softball school. Effingham beat them like 11-2.
Yeah, Cumberland, year in and year out. I mean, they take it seriously over there. You know what I'm saying? They've got that's for the girls. I think they had a really good basketball season this year, but the sport that gets taken seriously year in and year out, softball and really volleyball too. They like the volleyball, so that's good. And you and I talked about the North Clay baseball team, not just beating people, but beating them up. And they played a lot of games too.
Of people. They're putting up some numbers down there. They really are. A lot of it, and it's not like they keep playing Christ Our Rock every game. No, they beat Nashville the other day. They have rightly so loaded up their schedule in the spring because they got a very talented group of kids, and that's awesome. I mean, they'll be up here. I know they'll play T-Town. They'll play St. Anthony this spring. Hopefully I'd like to see them in the area. They're a fun group to watch. I saw them last fall. Very impressed with them.
And that's the thing you got to do. You just play people, because it doesn't ultimately, it's not going to matter that much what you got seated in your region.
No, your one loss isn't a big, okay. When you do your seedings, you may, it just depends, but
I mean, you're going to try to sell yourself, but
if you're showing, hey, look who we've played. We've played Salem, we've played Nashville, we played Breeze. You look at their schedule, they've played some people.
Yeah, absolutely. And win or lose those games, it is going to help you, because you play a bunch of 2A or maybe even a little 3A competition throughout the season. Well, you get into a regional championship, I guarantee whatever the other team's throwing, it's going to be something that you've seen before.
And I want to say, are they 9-1 right now?
I know that the last I saw, they played, I think, 7 or 8 games, but that did not count later in the week. I think that was Tuesday, the last I saw.
We got to do a better job. We'll have to get a new producer to send us our notes. Somebody started like episode 6, and now we're at episode 28, and they quit sending them to me. So.
I've had a busy weekend. We'll put it that way. That's my excuse. I had an NO only draft yesterday.
Now, Whitey, is it as good being a fantasy owner as it was back in the day when you and I were co-owners?
I don't know. I will say this. I knew everybody in the room at this draft, at least.
Was your draft as entertaining as ours was?
It was. I'll tell you what. It took about as long, and it was
really.
I don't know. We were dragging yesterday for some reason. People are usually just playing pretty fast and loose with their money, and they just want to kind of get done. And yesterday, everyone was being really. They're being really thrifty for some reason. So
you got to hire Marcus Anderson to be your auctioneer, and he keeps it moving.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, we have the dude who runs ours he's got a little clicker system. We all get a button, and that's how we bid. So.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you're playing Jeopardy.
Sorta.
Or you're at a high school scholar bowl meet. You're good on the button.
And then, if I end up with Steven Matz on my team, I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't push that button. That was a mistake.
Was it a straight auction? Is it a keeper or
it's a keeper?
That's no fun.
you get to keep 3 guys. Okay. And
Yeah, maybe.
there's an inflation system. You keep them a second year, you got to
Yeah.
pay a little bit more.
So you don't get to get Albert Pujols for $1 as a rookie and then keep him for like 5 years.
No, it would
$10.
If you got him for a year, then if you got him for $1, then you get him for $1 the next year. Then you get him for, it goes up pretty significantly after that. I think it goes up to 16 the next year. It bumps up $15, and then it's you multiply it by 1.2 and round up every time. So it would get up there in a hurry. You'd end up paying market value for him by probably the end of the fourth year or something like that. So no, nobody grabs up Juan Soto and then has him on their team for the rest of the time they're in the league. Anything.
And yours is NL only?
NL only, and it's 10 teams. So by the
that's not bad since you're NL only. By
the end of the draft, you're definitely scraping the bottom of the barrel. You're definitely, like I said, you've got I don't know. People don't care too much about this.
I know, but we had 15, 16 teams.
Yeah.
And you had to have 2 catchers, which was hard.
I don't know what you do with that.
We were AL and NL, but yeah, it was
I am pretty, by the end of every season, I am pretty intimately aware of every National League team's backup second baseman.
It is. And that's what I miss about it.
Any relief pitcher who might happen to, get a hold here or there, but have starting pitcher eligibility. Very, very important in our league to find a couple of those guys. You
pay attention to all those things. I don't anymore.
I love it.
I used to watch Baseball Tonight glued to the set. I don't do that anymore. So.
Well,
it is what it is.
To me, baseball is the sport. Like the rest of these are fun, but
yeah, I agree.
But baseball is the sport because that was the only one.
It was my favorite. It was by far my favorite to play. So
yeah, it was the only one I was ever particularly good at. So that kind of helps a little bit.
And then I know, like baseball wise, we're talking about softball. Baseball wise, T-Town went up to. We'll save them for last. Effingham. Yeah. I'm trying to think who they played this week. I don't remember seeing results this week very often. They beat somebody.
I'm dialing up the X's sports page right now.
Okay. Yeah, I forget who they beat this week,
so that we can just be sure, because I could throw something out there, but I could make a mistake. I don't know about Effingham. I did see that Joe Matson, who is
trying to go to Lakeland.
Yeah, he's going to go play at Lakeland. The game
he's their catcher.
Yeah, he catches. So I did see that. I do not know that they.
I don't think they got any games in.
They didn't have any results anyway on the X's site.
Well, we got like 20 inches of rain Wednesday, so that hurt.
Yeah.
St. Anthony played.
Yeah, St.
Did they even play?
Yeah, St. Anthony definitely got a win. They played, their baseball team played Flora as well, because you had the Hatton boy, Brady, it was a 5-inning game. They won 13-0, but he threw a 1-hitter. So that's his dad was good baseball player back in the day, played at the college level and got drafted. A lot of athletic kids there between mom and dad. So he's
that's good. And then T-Town beat Muhammad, shut them out. I think 1-0, didn't they?
And they also beat Mater Dei this week.
Beat Mater Dei.
That was a higher scoring game, but
and beat Lyle. Lost to St. Joe. They played a doubleheader at St. Joe. Lyle came down. T-Town comes up, and then they play a kind of a round robin between the three. And should I go into why the St. Joe game I felt important?
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect. We could try and keep it right around an hour. Why not?
Okay.
We could do
that.
Well,
and we're going there. Caden Altoff, who I was 18 feet away from when he tore the ACL, the whatever, all the L's in his knee. When he went down at Effingham, I was sitting down in a chair right on the corner of the floor, right next to Susie Parks, actually, or Susie Went, I'm sorry, the trainer, when he went down. That was December 14th, December 15th when that happened. He had surgery January 4th or 5th, and I'm guessing on these dates, but he made his debut. And I'll tell you, you talk about a kid working hard. I know even when it first happened, Justin said, man, we hope to get him back by postseason. Well, he's back April 2nd.
Yeah.
And he was out there through 3 innings. I mean, he was credited with 2. Ended up giving up a bunch of runs in his last inning. And by reading his box score, I'm assuming he started having control issues. I mean, he had a lot of walks, and he gave up all his runs in 1 inning. So, but just to see him come back from that surgery and the amount of work I know he has put in. Now, he can't hit yet. They're not ready to release him to hit and run the bases, but he has been released to pitch. And, obviously he's not at 100%, but I think the good thing there is if they will see progression, that's huge for Justin, because now as you near postseason, here's a person you were probably December 1st in the back of your head thinking, here's one of my top 3 pitchers, let's say. I don't know exactly where he would have been in the rotation pre-injury, but he's a good pitcher.
Yeah.
And then to lose him, and now to see him come back now and hopefully get stronger and regain his command and be able to do things, that's huge. And I know we've had a no-hitter. We've had a great game pitched against Flora. We had a good game pitched against Muhammad, and we've done some good things. But I just think this young man is our first attaboy.
So, Caden Altoff, from Mike Wilson and Dustin to you. How about that?
So now I've got to get over there and get him a gift certificate. Oh, by the way, I have 2 sitting on my dresser.
Yeah.
2 girls from Neoga that are probably famished. They're probably losing weight, not being able to go eat.
I'm going to be in Effingham tomorrow for the T-Town EHS baseball game. And you and I can work out the details for me to take those off your hands, and then I can get a hold of Avery Fearday and Trista Moore. They're into their softball season now, so
they forgot about you.
Well, I'll bet they'll probably still take them, and
I'm sure they will.
I know that both of those kids have brothers. Okay, so if nothing
do not
else,
share.
Yeah,
and I've got to reach back out to the fine folks at Joe's and Pizza Man, because we're getting low on our initial numbers. So I got to see if they're going to re-up, because
yeah, I don't know.
I hate to see that put on your end of the budget. So
well, I mean, I can certainly handle that. I'm not going to say no, but it would help justify it if the people who are watching this right now said start if they just told, I don't know, 10 of their closest friends, like, you should be paying attention to this. These guys like to talk about local sports. Might get some good guests on there, and it's a good watch. Anybody who watches regularly, they have nice things.
Oh, I hear when I'm out and about in the community, be it, buying groceries somewhere to eat, wherever. Rarely do I go anywhere when someone says, "Hey, I heard your show with X. Hey, that was really good. I didn't know that about."
Yeah.
So and we've next week's guest. I'm working on it's kind of out of we're kind of getting out of the box a little bit.
Okay. I don't even know who you're talking about. So
I know, but I'm looking media. And someone
so you wanted to talk to Joe Buck about making his
his gig with ESPN.
Yeah,
I'm thinking actually, I'm wanting to get Bill Raftery on, and we would just do the show from the KC Hall.
Oh, that'd be fun. Make it happen. I'm sure, you have to
I
get
want
him
him just to say onions.
Yeah, just get him to say onions like 10 times. That's all he has to do. He just
Yeah.
has to say it, and then he can go about his business.
The throw it down, Jerome's, I think still is his best.
Okay, but before we sign off, you gotta tell me who's gonna win tomorrow night. Who's gonna win between Kansas and North Carolina?
Man, it's
Since we know so much, just don't look at the bracket.
we proved that with our brackets. I think you won by default, really. I don't think there was a winner. You were the least loser.
Yeah, I sucked the less.
So really, I think instead of buying lunch, I may just DoorDash you a lunch.
That's perfectly fine. I'll eat it.
I don't know. I tell you, I really thought Duke was going to win last night. Just because the sappy sentimental and the Duke kids have played so well in the tournament. And, North Carolina almost puked it away when they faced all that pressure from Baylor. Really.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Villanova losing their good kid. That just, Kansas got that lead and then just said, okay, you're not going to get any closer than 6 points the rest of the way. We're just going to play. I think
if someone told you a month ago,
I like North Carolina because the McCormick kid has bodies to go up against. Villanova couldn't match him physically inside, and that really handicapped them. And he had a huge game. And Obagi had a great game. Other kids with Kansas were so. But I like the way Hubert. The only problem with North Carolina is they don't have a bench. Yeah. I think that's the second half. They brought that one kid in when.
Well, they had to.
Because the kid turned his ankle. And he looked like a deer in headlights, but then he stepped to the line and made 2 free throws in a big-time situation. So I'm going to go with Carolina. So that probably means Kansas will win.
Obviously, if someone had told you a month ago that it was going to be Kansas and North Carolina in the championship game, you would have said, well, Kansas is obviously going to win that. But
I'd have thought they were stuck in a time machine.
Yeah, a lot's changed since then.
I just said, what happened to Iowa and Purdue?
Yeah, that's
I think that's the way I'm kind of leaning. The Love kid from St. Louis has had a real good tournament.
It's just a weird thing to think of North Carolina as an underdog, but I guess that's pretty much what they are. And it's weird. It's especially weird to root for them to win, as an underdog, because this is obviously 2 blue blood programs that have won more than their fair share. And I don't feel bad for fan bases for either team. There's no long awaited chance at a title or any of that stuff. I think
it's the monkey off our back.
I think it's just the more interesting story, I guess, for a 8 seed to possibly get to the championship. But I think last night's Duke North Carolina game, probably of the 3 Final Four, games, of the 3 games in New Orleans, probably going to end up being I think it could end up being the best one. Just
that was a good one, but I don't think you'll get cheated tomorrow. I think you're going to have a good ball game.
If North Carolina wins it, it's going to be a good, exciting, tight ball game. If Kansas wins it, I think it's going to be by double digits.
Well, just where they get up 12 points and don't let you get any closer than 6. And the Villanova Kansas game was boring.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was like, okay, now they got it to 10. Now it's back to 15. There was no, you weren't on the edge of your seat.
No, and I didn't get to see the first part of it because I was still drafting my baseball team. But by the time I saw what the score was, I was just like, we'll just pick it up. We'll pick it up for the second game because we know how this one's going to turn out. All right, Mike.
Sounds good, Whitey.
We're going to call it a week. Yeah, thanks again to Mitch Koester for joining us. Very, very accomplished baseball coach and player, and lucky to get a chance to talk to him. So if you're watching this, tell your friends about it. Tell them it was a good one, because it was, and we will
We got to get those likes up over 80. We're stuck at 79, Whitey, for the subscribers.
Yeah, we'll get there someday, maybe. I don't know. If I don't know how much I'll have to that would be the way that I convince my wife that it's okay for me to keep like coming up here on Sunday nights and just disappearing for an hour when the kids are wired and we really ought to be, like making them get their homework done or go to bed or whatever. So, if I could say, listen, I have 100 subscribers that are just waiting for the next show, then I feel like
a nice round number.
That's going to carry on.
Is your wife a subscriber?
I don't think so.
Hey, right there. I don't know if Ann is. I'd have to ask her.
My daughter watches it, actually. My 10-year-old watches it every week.
Well, she likes it when you say, yeah, she takes pitching lessons from.
Yeah, that's right. She just wants to hear her name.
She gets mentioned.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you next week, Mike.
Sounds good.
All right, later.